Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good morning.
Good morning.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful world if children could just sit down with a parent or a teacher and say, "Can we talk?" But children don't know how to advocate for themselves. So children don't advocate for themselves. Most of the time they act up and they otherwise get attention that seems to aggravate problems rather than solve them. It's curious to me that I remember this, but I remember very clearly when I was in the first grade being upset about something. I don't remember what. Don't even remember if it happened that morning or if it happened sometime that week, but I felt like I needed to talk. But speaking up is hard to do, so I couldn't just go to Mom and say, "Mom, can we talk about this?" No, instead I had to craft a plan. And the idea struck when I sat in my school seat and the teacher gave us something to color. It was a picture of a chair. Just an overstuffed, what looked to me like a leather piece of furniture stuck on the middle of the page in nothing. And as I reached for my crayon box, suddenly inspiration struck. I thought to myself, I will make such a mess out of this chair that Mom is going to have to say, "Matthew, what's wrong?" And I'll finally be able to step out of the shadows and say, "Well, since you asked." So I grabbed a brown crayon and I looked at my target and I scrabbled furiously all over the page for seconds, and when I ran out of energy, I sat back and looked at my messy masterpiece and said, "That ought to do it." I don't think I've ever brought home a paper like that before. Well, that afternoon when I got picked up, I think I had 3 or 4 papers to hand over. You know how it is for first graders coming home with a stack of stuff. And I remember standing in the hallway, handing her those papers one at a time. And when I finally got to my messy masterpiece, I put it into her hands and she took one look at it and said, "Honey, it's beautiful." "What? Beautiful?" And then I start to think, do all of my coloring pages look like this? I thought I made a mess, and she apparently doesn't even notice that something's wrong. Well, there was a plan absolutely foiled. But speaking up is hard to do. Kids don't know how to advocate for themselves, so they don't. I remember seeing kids go in and out of my class all the time, wondering what was coming on and what was going on when they were, and found out that they were getting some reading help, learning how to improve the speed of their reading. And I thought, I need that. I wish somebody would take me out and teach me how to read faster, but kids don't advocate for themselves, so I didn't. It's hard to step out of the shadows. Even in adulthood, I find occasions where it's difficult to say, "Can we talk?" I remember rushing into a restaurant, really needing some bathroom tissue because I had some allergy business going on right here in the nose. And I rushed into the bathroom, and at first I noticed they've got all stalls in here. I wonder why they set the bathroom up like that. And then I rushed into a stall, and I closed the door, and I get some tissue paper, and I noticed this stall looks a little odd. And then it hit me. I'm in the ladies' bathroom. Then I hear footsteps coming in through the door and going into the stall next to me. And I'm thinking, are my feet visible? What do I do? Should I clear my throat and can we talk? How do I get out of this? And I just had to stay in the shadows until the sun passed over and I could crawl out very quickly and just go back to my family and act like nothing ever happened. But speaking up is hard to do. Then occasionally we put these messages into our children and we wonder what they're doing with them and how are they processing. I remember one year we were Easter shopping as a family, and we were in South Park Mall, and I got my eye caught by a Rolex watch in the store window of, I don't know if it was Carlisle and Company or which one it was, but what caught my eye about it was that it didn't have a gold bracelet, it had a leather strap, and I didn't even know Rolex made a watch like that. As I took a closer look, I could see that the price tag was very visible, which normally in those showroom display windows, they take care to hide them. And as I looked at it and studied, I was searching hard to find a decimal because I couldn't find one. And if I was reading the tag correctly, the price tag on that watch was $20,000. Well, we had always been affirming Rose Catherine and trying to celebrate her every time she would go in the right way. That's a good decision, baby. Way to go. That was a good call, Rosie. Way to go. Yes, Rosie, keep that up. Well, as I was standing in front of that window, marveling at this $20,000 watch and trying to imagine answers to all kinds of questions that were coming up, I tried to impress her with what I was gazing at. I said, Rosie, you see that watch right there? Yes, sir. That watch is $20,000. She wasn't impressed. I said, Rosie, you could buy a car for what that watch cost. She didn't seem to be impressed. Well, I've seen enough. So I'll walk away. Show's over. I feel her coming up right behind me, put her little hand in mine, and she said, Daddy, you just made a good decision. Mountain contest.